After the failure of Adam's incarnation through Shem, God once more convened the heavenly court. The throne of judgment was set, the Bene Elohim summoned, and the accuser again brought forth his claims.
Satan, your plans to corrupt humanity beyond repair have failed. The fallen sons of God who descended with you are now bound beneath the river Euphrates, chained in darkness until the appointed end.
Yes, the first test has passed, but I remain prince of this world. I have enthroned 70 Bene Elohim as rulers over the nations, each to be my image, each to be worshipped in temples of stone and blood. The peoples bow to me as their God.
Master of the universe, since Satan sets himself to thwart me, grant that I and Eve may guide and protect Abraham's family in their next trials. Allow us to stand with the chosen line, so that the repair may not fail.
Adam, you shall be guardian of Israel, their shield and protector. Eve, you shall be their wisdom, their Bina, guiding them through the ways of justice. Adam shall be the pillar of fire by night and the cloud of glory by day, while Eve shall be known among them as the Shekhinah, the indwelling presence.
Thus began Adam and Eve's secret intervention in the story of Israel. Hidden, yet present, they guarded Abraham's seed from destruction and inspired the prophets to truth. But a time came when Adam himself was again to descend into flesh. From the tribe of Judah, Jesse was chosen as father, and from Nitzahuva, a vessel of Eve's soul, the mother was chosen. From their union came forth a son, conceived in brokenness, but destined for greatness. David, shepherd of Israel, and king anointed of God. The heavens bore witness, signs blazed in the constellations, and the date itself was sealed in the books of eternity. On the 2nd of Iyar, in the year 2716 from creation, April 7th, 1045 BCE, David was born, the second great incarnation of Adam's soul. When Adam's soul returned to earth in the person of David, king of Israel, heaven ordained a test as severe as Eden. For just as Adam had been asked to obey God's command in the garden and failed, so too David was confronted with a choice that would reveal whether he could repair the sin of Adam. David's sin with Bathsheba brought forth a child, but the prophet Nathan declared that the child would not live. For 7 days David fasted, lay upon the ground, and pleaded with God, hoping the decree might be overturned. His servants whispered, unsure whether the king had lost all hope, for he refused food or comfort. But hidden beneath this trial was a deeper mystery. David was being tested to see if he would offer up his own life as atonement for the child. If Adam had failed to lay down his life for Eve in Eden, could David, his reincarnation, succeed by sacrificing himself for Bathsheba's son? The test lay not in prayer alone, but in whether David would stand before God and say, "Take me, and let the child live." Yet fear of death held him back. David rose after the child died, washed, and went to worship in the house of the Lord. He accepted the decree, but the opportunity to surrender his life in place of another had slipped away. When David did not give his life for Bathsheba's infant son, the heavens closed and the decree fell, the child died, and David lived on. Yet within David's soul lingered an unease, a voice that whispered, "You missed your test. You did not complete Adam's repair." Years later, as Absalom rose against him, the truth struck David with bitter clarity. When his son was slain, David cried out,
"O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would that I had died instead of you. O Absalom, my son, my son. 2 Samuel 19:1.
This was no mere grief of a father. It was the echo of Eden. David suddenly understood. The test had been whether he would offer himself for the innocent, just as Adam should have stood for Eve. But now his cry was too late. The sword had already pierced his house. Again, at the end of his life, David faced another moment of recognition. After numbering Israel in pride, judgment fell and 70,000 died by plague. David fell on his face and pleaded,
I have sinned. I, the shepherd, have done wrong. But these sheep, what have they done? Let your hand, I pray, be against me and my father's house. 2 Samuel 24:17.
Here David at last offered his life, not only for a son, but for all Israel. Yet heaven had decreed otherwise. The angel's sword was stayed, but the people still suffered. When the days of King David ended, a divine council was convened in the heavens. Thrones were set, the Bene Elohim assembled, and the scrolls of Israel's history lay open before the Holy One.
David, son of Jesse, rise and speak. You have lived as shepherd, warrior, king, and psalmist. What have you learned of Adam's burden, which rests upon your soul?
Master of the universe, I see it now with bitter clarity. When Bathsheba's child lay sick, I should have offered my life. I fasted, I prayed, I wept, but I did not surrender my breath for his. When Absalom died, my cry was not only for my son, but for my own failure. Would that I had died instead of you. And in the plague after the census, I begged you, let your hand fall upon me, and not upon the sheep. I now know my great test was always this, to undo Adam's silence in Eden by laying down my life for another. But I failed. Fear overcame love, and the decree stood. My repentance came too late.
Behold, the second Adam has stumbled as the first. He sang many psalms, yes, but he did not finish the task. The throne of the earth still belongs to me.
Silence, accuser. David's psalms rise higher than your slanders, yet it is true. The work is unfinished. Adam began and fell. Shem guarded, but did not complete. David repented, but too late. Therefore the soul must return once more.
Then let it be, O Lord. If my failure prepares the path for another, may my crown be laid at the feet of the one who will come. For I see now that my kingship was only to prepare the way for a greater king, my son yet unborn, whom men will call Messiah.
Well spoken, David. Your throne is eternal not because you were perfect, but because through you I will perfect the world. Adam, David, Messiah. 3 sparks of one soul. 3 stages of one redemption. You sowed the psalms of repentance. Your son will reap the harvest of salvation.
And so the heavenly scribes wrote, David's test was the self-sacrifice he failed. His realization was true, his repentance sincere. But the repair is left for Messiah, son of David, who will give himself wholly for Israel and the nations, and whose light will never be quenched. But God, who renews the world in every generation, did a new thing. A son was born to David, not a warrior king, but a man of peace, ordained to build the house of the Lord. His name was Solomon, Shlomo, the man of Shalom. As with David, the heavens testified. In the year of his birth, another type of triple conjunction appeared, that of Jupiter and Saturn, blazing in the constellations, the royal star and the star of Sabbath peace bound together in the sky. The wise knew this was no accident, for the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims his handiwork. Solomon was born on the 2nd of Iyar, 2784 from creation, April 7th, 977 BCE, the very same date as his father David. Thus father and son shared not only blood and throne, but also the mark of heaven upon their births. To commemorate this mystery, when the cornerstone of the temple was set, it was laid on the 2nd of Iyar, 966 BCE, binding the house of God to the birthdays of David and Solomon alike. Yet there was a deeper mystery hidden in Solomon's work. For the day he set the cornerstone, the orientation of the house was sealed. Its axis was not random, nor was it merely toward the east. It was aligned by divine decree. The line of the sanctuary stretched forward, pointing to a precise place on the Mount of Olives, and what lay there, unseen to the builders and unknown to Solomon, was the ancient tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Preserved through the flood, rooted in mystery, it still stood, awaiting the day of testing when Adam's soul would face its final reckoning.